Okay, great. Thank you all for joining on a Sunday afternoon. Hope everybody is doing well. I will quickly get started. Just a few things before we sort of start the session. Finding like a roadmap to living on purpose is not a one day or a one-time process. So my intention, I would like to clarify over here, is not that by the end of the workshop, you guys have that one answer and get that one crystal clarity of, okay, I have understood by 5 p.m. on a Sunday of what I'm going to do but for the rest of my life. But the idea is to sort of design a framework, get some sort of a guidance, get yourself kick-started with what is about to come and how to sort of deal with those challenges. So without further ado, I'll just start presenting. We are good to go, Alex?
Yes, and you can make it into the slideshow mode. Right now it's sharing your browser.
Perfect, perfect. I'm only able to share one screen at a time, so yeah, I'll just... Okay. Is this good?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay, perfect. So, finding a roadmap to living on purpose. Just a few things quickly, wanting to set the intention. There must be a reason why you have come to this workshop. If you have this inner yearning of living a more purpose-driven life, feeling a little more alive, setting your goals with a clear intention. If you're feeling a little wandered or you're feeling lost, you want to understand a strong purpose that drives your life. And also, if you want to get a clarity of what are your values and then maybe deciding your career that are aligned with those values are some of the important intentions to set right before the workshop. What are we going to do during this workshop? I would encourage everybody to have like a notepad or a pen or a pencil. You might not be able to deeply reflect on the questions in this crunch of 45 minutes, but the idea is to note down these questions, make a space, and then note down another questions, write down the headings, and keep going back and reflecting on some of these questions which you would like to deeply answer. For this workshop particularly, I would encourage to keep up with the pace. You do not have to write the entire sentence, but maybe write some of the keywords that are coming to your mind. So maybe a question in the workshop at some point of time might be, what is it that gets you in flow? What is it that you really love doing? So you do not need to completely write down the answer that in my free time I like to play a particular instrument. Just write the name of the instrument and then move on to the next one. That's how we can keep up with the pace. So during this workshop, I hope we are able to get you to a much better clarity. We are able to positively impact you. We are able to align you with what your passion is. We are able to connect you to what brings you most alive. And most importantly, you are able to spend time processing your own thoughts even during this workshop and after this workshop, because there will be a lot of reflective activities. So why are we here and why are we doing this workshop? By the end of the workshop, I hope that if you are able to really focus without any distractions, we will be able to investigate what your deep desires are in a much more deeper way. We are able to set you up for a much more purpose-driven life, and you're able to find more projects that you are organically aligned to, make some decisions which come very easily to you, in which you have been feeling maybe lost. And also, I would invite everyone to apply personal approaches and skills to sort of bring that change within yourself. Before we jump into the instructions and the other things, most importantly, I want to just start by saying one thing, because whenever I'm interacting with young people, they ask me, how do we keep ourselves motivated? I give them a very funny example. When you're in love with someone, you do not have to motivate yourself, right? To call that person, or to talk to that person, or do things for them. Similarly, if I tell you, if you are absolutely in love with your work, with what you will be doing throughout your life, then there will be times when things might not work completely, but you wouldn't need motivation for that, because that will be something that will be coming from within you. So in this workshop, our idea is basically to find and get you from a place of feeling lost to a place of clarity of what you absolutely love, for which you might just need a little bit of discipline and not so much of motivation, because that will be something that will already be within you. That will be a voice that will be already coming from within. That's what my hope is. Some quick instructions is, try to be as authentic and deeply, deeply reflect. Only then you will be able to come out with something very, very fruitful. The Q&A session will be at the very end. So would appreciate, because I will not be able to read the chats, would appreciate if you guys are able to save up the questions for the end. Be respectful, and please give me your attention for these 45-50 minutes. Also, attend it with a lot more agility and an open mind, with the intention of challenging yourself, with the intention of trying to push yourself into thinking a little differently. And most importantly, from this workshop, you will only get as much as you give in. So don't hesitate. Try to be as attentive and be committed. Ikigai, I'm sure a lot of you would have heard about it, but just for the sheer theoretical meaning of it, it is the reason of being. It is your purpose in life. It is what you were born to do. If you truly believe that there is a reason why you are here right now, and the life is about sort of understanding what is it that you were meant to do, or have been brought into this world, I think that's one of the best lived life. Why are we taking this workshop? Surprisingly, because 85% of people are unhappy with what they do. It could be their job, their business, and their career. So it got me wondering, why is it that so many of us coming from educated background still feel lost and still are not able to completely enjoy our work? And maybe the idea is to kind of take a pause and reflect on some of the key questions that we should have asked ourselves way back. The idea is to understand what you are naturally driven towards, what gets you in the state of flow. As I told you, you don't need motivation, but you really need to do things that you love. Also, because the work that you do will also give your life a lot of meaning, a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, and most importantly, a sense of being. There is something for which the world needs you, and that is something I think I want all of you to truly believe, that I'm again repeating it. There is something for which the world really needs you, and you were born for it. You were born for a reason. So the idea is to really kind of deep dive and discover that. What does Ikigai mean? It means doing. We'll be majorly exploring 4 pillars of this concept, which is what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you are good at. But how do we find what you love doing? You can love a lot of things, but if we have to sort of correlate it to your career, there are some very specific questions that one needs to really ask themselves. You want to ask yourself, where is it that you like spending time? Or maybe what is it that you're naturally driven towards? Now, some people might say that, I like to binge watch. Well, let me tell you, even sitting in front of a television and attentively, creatively looking at something, grasping it all is also a skill. A lot of people are not able to do that. But the question is, if you're really able to understand that maybe that skill might be actually needed somewhere to review something. Just an example, but you get what I'm saying. So this is the first exercise, which is what you love doing, which is the passion. And at this point of time, I would want all of you to sort of write down these questions, give some space and write these questions, because the idea is not to come up with a perfect answer right now. As I said at the beginning of the workshop, this is more of a workshop to get you started, and then you guys to keep on doing this exercise again and again till the time you are really able to filter down to the very end of maybe 2 or 3 options which might float around. Some of the key questions around passion or what you love doing would be, when you were growing up, what were the things that you were known for? Or maybe you love doing something, but you have this inner block of, hey, you know, this thing is all good, but it might not get me money. So what would you do if money wasn't an option or wasn't a barrier? What is it that you currently like doing in your spare time? Or maybe you always run to it when you have spare time. We will, in this journey, also figure out a way of how you can really monetize it. If you were asked to present to a room full of people on a topic, what would it be? And also, most importantly, what do you get excited about? So I'll take a pause here for a moment. I hope everybody has sort of written down these questions. And we'll give about 5 minutes to just reflect on these questions. I'll just also quickly check if there has been some message or anything in the chat box which we might need to clarify. Okay, and also I would invite you all to reflect on not just the activity, but what part of that activity is it that you really enjoy. Let me give you an example. I was actually coaching one of my clients, and this was a question which I asked her of what was the activity that she really liked doing when she was a child. And she kept mentioning a lot of these games and outdoor activities. She was sort of working in a corporate environment, and we were able to sort of figure out that where she used to thrive the most was the outdoor settings where there is sort of a physical movement, and what she was doing was kind of physically feeling restricted because she was working in a very confined setting. And that's where this question might make a lot of sense. Maybe another example is you were a good communicator and you really liked telling stories to your family and your friends. That does mean that you can, moving forward, figure out a lot of these career options which requires good articulation skills. It will all make sense at the end because there are other 3 pillars that we need to cover as of now. And as Charles said, really figure out what you love and let it kill you. Okay. And I'll just once again repeat, please note down these questions, give them some space, and then circle back to these questions again to sort of filter down or break them down more till you're able to really find an authentic answer. A lot of times what will happen is when you're answering these questions, you might want to type something very impressive or something that the other person would find impressive. But the more you do this exercise and the more authentic you become, the idea is to write down things without judgment, things which you really, really like doing. And I often say this, what would you do if no one was watching? Or what would be your honest answer be if nobody was listening? So be mindful of that. And yeah, can someone really retire if they are passionate about what they do? I don't think so. And you will usually find these people extremely, extremely content and happy. Moving on to the second pillar, how to find what the world needs. Why is it important? Why is it important for anybody of us to do what the world needs? The reason for it is you'll always be much more fulfilled when you're thinking beyond yourself. Purpose itself means to serve others at times, because the fact that if you're able to use your skill set to make this world a better place, or maybe fulfill a demand which is impacting maybe someone's life or the environment in some or the other way, then you will have a very, very deep sense of fulfillment. So really figuring out what the world needs is also going to be what is your idea of the world that is different from your currently living. Or as the first statement says, what skills you have or would like to develop that would benefit the world. So maybe I am really passionate about clean water, and I have absolutely no idea about any of it. So that's a skill which I right now might not have, but I am really, really driven towards that cause. And hence, I would like to develop my skill sets, because when I see water getting contaminated, it really makes me angry. So it's super important to understand, also aligning your career with what you think the world needs right now, which is the mission. Some of the important questions to ask yourself would be, what are your top 3 core values? What is the social or environmental problems that you really want to solve? If you ask your family and friends, what would they say that they find you mostly advocating for? Or maybe if you had to go in the past and ask your 5-year younger self, what was it that you as a kid really wanted to change in this world? Maybe that's when you'll also find the most authentic answer, because as kids, we didn't have those filters. An example would be, maybe you wanted to become a career counselor because maybe you were trying to figure out something around your career, or help other people in their relationships. There can be many options. You have to make sure that these are the causes in your community, in maybe NGOs, volunteer organizations, that should fit and align well with these top 3 values that you would document very initially. And also, you should be emotionally invested in these. So for example, I might feel that the education system in India needs a lot more improvement, but there are also people dying because of health issues. And it's completely fine for me to be more driven for education than on health issues. So I have to be really honest with myself that I understand that there are some other issues as well which might be of more emergency, but then being honest to myself, I also need to acknowledge all the things that I am driven towards more. So yeah, these are some of the questions which I would want you to write down as well as reflect on it. Again, please do answer them in one word. The idea is for you to not have a perfect answer right now, but to get this process started. I would also encourage to, if you want to really deep dive in this process, to create a separate notebook, have these sections in place, and keep going back and reflecting on them. If you are still not able to really figure out this mission, maybe another trick would be, what is it that you as a person needed maybe 3 to 5 years ago? And the chances are if you needed it, other people in the world would also need it. So that's another way that you can really figure it out. And also do remember, it does not have to be very big. It could be a very small issue. And when I say small, I'm just talking about the scale. But most importantly, it has to be important to you. Well, moving on to our next section. I hope you guys are able to read this beautiful quote. It is much more important to have a compass pointing to a concrete object than to have a map. So right now, what we are trying to do is trying to build that compass, trying to give you that direction that will take you to maybe a rough map in which you can later figure out. And that rough map might look like 3 or 4 options, because I personally believe it's more important than knowing what you want to do. It's super important to first eradicate and understand what is it that is not for you, and then you will find your answers connecting the dots backwards. The third pillar, how to find what you are good at. Are you really aware about your strength areas, or are you really conscious about what comes naturally to you? And that is the vocation. It could be genetic, it could be something that you loved so much that you developed the skill, but it's super important to also reflect on it. Here are some of the examples at the bottom that you can see, which have benefited a lot of young people and students. So these are the 4 links. There is Insight Discovery, there is Firebricks, there is Realize 2, there is Gallup. These are some of the links. I want you to note them down. Go to their website, and there are exercises to really help you understand. But in this workshop, we can reflect on some of the questions of how you can really figure this out. Is maybe understanding what is it that your friends, family, and colleagues say that you're good at, or what is it that you enjoy doing that really helps you get in the state of flow. A state of flow example would be maybe, let's say you're playing carom and you completely forget, or you're playing a game and you completely forget, or maybe you're reading a book and you completely forget where the time has flown by. Is there an activity that later on in the 4th section we are also going to reflect on what gets you paid? Is there an activity that you completely get immersed in so much that you lose the sense of time or hunger also at times? That is when you can really figure out what is it that really helps you get in that state of flow. Also do remember that it will take roughly about 1400 days, that's about like 5 years, to really master that skill. So patience is super, super important at this point of time. Even if you enjoy something and you might not be perfect at it, But this very day, if you start, it will take some time to really develop that skill and become a master in it. I'll give some time for you to reflect on these questions, note them down, create a nice journal. And to be really honest, if you want to get the best out of these activities, I would say keep going back and reflecting on these activities again and again. And as I said earlier, if something gets you in a state of flow but you're not a master in it, but it is your deep desire, you can also follow similar people who are doing that and sort of understand what their ecosystem is. Having a good mentor or getting some guidance from people who are already experts in those areas really goes a long way. Okay, I hope you all have noted down. So as you can see this quote, it is what we repeatedly do that matters, because excellence is then not an act, but it becomes a subconscious habit. Fourth pillar, and the most important pillar, and I'm sure a lot of you will be kind of looking forward to this section, is how do I really figure out what I can be paid for? But honestly, it's not even the fourth pillar. It's the pillar that you figure out after you have figured out the other three. So maybe the areas of your passion that you could build a career in, or in the age of internet, you can create a demand for anything and find your audience. If we further deep dive into this, there are some very, very basic questions to ask yourself. After you have figured out the initial three pillars, which is what you love, what the world needs, and what you're good at, you will start identifying some patterns, and they will sort of take you somewhere. So maybe after figuring out these three pillars, you have an understanding that maybe you're good with numbers, and that's showing up again and again. So you can start populating this section on and kind of documenting all the professions which involve numbers. Or as I had given an example before, which was, if you realize that there are some of the activities back-to-back that you have noted down in most of the sections which talk a lot about your interpersonal skills, communication skills, your networking skills, then maybe a career that involves more interaction with people, that could be something that you can explore. So in this section, an important question to ask yourself would be, I'm again repeating this, what is it that the patterns have shown which are your key traits or make you you, that the others would find absolutely amazing about you, that they will pay you for it? That's the fundamental question that one needs to ask. Once you have figured out a skill set that you think that people can pay you, and also what you're good at, and also what you love, and also what the world needs, then it becomes a process of understanding ways how you can really monetize it and turn into a business. I've also mentioned an example that these are step-by-step stages. And once you really figure out how you can turn it into a business, you can always go online, check up how businesses are done, or maybe take up online courses which will really help you create a concrete plan. You can also search for skill sets and that are in demand, and then align all of these that you have documented with. So it's a two-way process, right? It's first is that what you love will, and then what you will get paid for, because what you love. And then if you're not able to figure that out, and if money is something that you is your motivation, then you probably have to track it backwards at what it is in demand, and do you love it? Is it that something the world needs? And is it something that you can develop skills that you can be good at as well? So there are no rules. Do the process that suits the best for you. But the invitation would be to reflect as deeply as you can. I'll give 30 seconds for you to write down your answers and also document these questions. And again, repeating, please do not be in a hurry to write the most honest or perfect answer. The more you keep going back to these questions, the more you will start understanding that what is it about my answer that drove me to write it in the first place. And that is when your reflection process starts. The reason why are we doing this entire exercise is because if you have the why, you can always figure out the how. Your inability to figure out the how will always be generated from a place where you are uncertain about the why. So this is basically what the map kind of looks like. It's a very, very famous map. Whenever anybody talks about Ikigai, they do mention this map. We have divided it into sort of 4 areas. What you love and what you're good at is going to be your passion. What you love and what the world needs is going to be your mission. What the world needs and what you can be paid for is going to be your vocation. And what you can be paid for and what you're good at is going to be your profession. So start, once you have documented everything in a detailed manner, my invitation would be start breaking it down from a lens of passion, mission, vocation, and profession. You can also make these 4 different columns separately after you have done these exercises and start noting them down individually as subtopics of passion, mission, vocation, and profession. Well, we have come to the very end, almost. At this point, just a moment. Yeah. So at this point, I would invite everyone on the call to just reflect on all of what you have documented and if you were able to find a pattern or not. If there was something that you could see flowing through all these 4 exercises. If there was an image or a personality that was coming to your mind now that you look at all these 4 columns. So again, with an example, I would say that maybe in a section you would have written fame is something that you like, or being famous is something that you're really driven towards, or you like artistic and creative things, you like expression of thoughts. So maybe accumulating all of this, you can understand, oh, then probably I need to go into some sort of an artistic field where I will be known for my skills. People will know me. And then what are some of these professions where, creative professions where you can be known for? That's the idea of everything comes down to the section which is this, what you can be paid for. This is our final goal. So by identifying these patterns, we have to come to a place of understanding that what is it that comes so organically to me that people would absolutely love to pay me for that skill. A lot of times I get questions from individuals that we are trying to learn a skill, but we get bored. We get bored from online courses. We get distracted. We get confused. The very, very reason we do these 3 exercises is to really understand what is it that comes naturally to us. And if something comes naturally to you, or you are organically driven towards it, trust me, if you will do a course in that, you will never get bored. You will actually end up binge watching the course because everything will be coming from a place of excitement. The other thing, after you have on a first draft, I would actually invite all of you to have 5 different drafts of it. So right now what you have worked is the first draft. Maybe once the call is over, you directly can work on the second draft, understanding a little more deeply everything that you've written down and what I had mentioned in the very first exercise of the reason why you have documented what you have documented. What was it about that activity that you enjoyed the most? So you'll be able to identify some of these patterns, and you keep on working on this draft and making it more refined. I have usually seen the 5th draft is when most of us are able to reach that level of clarity where they are left with 2 or sometimes 3 options of professions, and that's when they start really going for them. The second thing is re-journaling. As I told you, these drafts that you will keep creating will require a lot of journaling. It will require a lot of journaling. So my invitation to everybody on the call is please do not hesitate to keep journaling as much as you can. It is only going to help you. Also, not just journaling, try being more precise, more specific. If I have written maybe somewhere that I love building connections, I love talking to people, so start thinking from that lens of your work. How is this a skill going to add up in my work? Because by the end of the day, Ikigai is what you do that will make you absolutely filled with a lot of joy and contentment. So everything that you write down after your first draft needs to have that outlook of your work. So when you've written that I love talking to people, then it also means you love networking. That also means you will be good with community building. That also means you can be a spokesperson of your organization. So start thinking from those lenses. Start connecting those dots from a lens of your work. And last, as I was mentioning, which is keep going more deeper, keep filtering things down, keep being more refined. That will really help. Well, yay! You have already taken the first step, and I do hope that you have done a tremendous job. I don't hope, I know that you have done a tremendous job, even if you have given the bare minimum of making an effort to just start documenting this. So yeah, I think I almost finished on 4:45, which I had promised. Would love to take some questions as well, if there are some burning questions. Yeah. Also, please do feel free to reach out to me. That's the email ID. And you can also follow us on @GuideMastery over Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, though I'm still sort of working on building the content. But yes, absolutely enjoyed the session and looking forward to some good Q&A session now.
Thanks, Ayush. If any of the participants have questions, feel free to type it in the chat window. We'll give it a couple of minutes.
Okay, maybe I can ask any of the participants what got them into this workshop, and maybe introduce yourself.
Looks like everyone is quiet on a Sunday evening.
No worries.
That's fine. We can then wrap it up. I'll come on video. So again, Ayush, thank you so much for taking time out. And again, thank you to all the participants who have attended. I hope this has been useful. As I said, it's the first step in setting up that compass. It's an ongoing process. You keep refining it, but what it does is give you a sense of direction, a direction towards having a more purpose-filled both career and life. Any last words, Ayush, and then we can close the meeting.
Sure. I would just like to wish everybody all the very best, and keep journaling and keep getting more clarity. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.